10 years. Now we're married 32 years.
Well,
But
congrats.
thank you. At that time, we were married 10 years, and she was really sick. She had thyroid issues, anemia, gynecological issues. Each month on her menstrual cycle, we would lose her for a week. Just she was doubled over in pain. She had adenomyosis. So lot of issues. Short-term memory issues, just energy, adrenals, all the things you could imagine that would be difficult for her. So here we were struggling through that, trying to find anything that could help her because she was not doing well. And it got to a point where I was like, I don't know if she's going to make it, kind of
Oh,
a thing.
wow.
Like, I might be a widow at 31 years old,
Wow.
and that's really not what I want because I like her a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So here we were, and I had some friends. We were serving together in church, and they had some money issues after 9/11. So right after 9/11, they had an organic food store in Kissimmee, Florida. And everyone going to Disney would buy organic food from their store, and that was a lot of their revenue. So now no one's going to Disney. They lost half their revenue of their business, and they were in trouble. So they came to get help. I gave them help. And after about a year or two of them not being able to pay back, I forgave the interest and said, don't worry about the interest. Just start paying back the principal. Doesn't matter how long it takes, you know. Well, after they ended up paying back the principal, they took my wife and I on a cruise in 2005, November 2005. They took us on a cruise. And on that cruise, they brought water with them. And I thought that was the strangest thing in the world to bring on a cruise was gallons of water to drink. And I said, they have water on the ship, right?
That's funny.
Yeah. And so they're like, oh, don't drink that water, drink this. And I'm like, okay. So they gave us our little suitcase with 4 gallons of water. And so we think nothing of it. We're like, whatever. We get on the ship. Jacqueline goes straight to bed because the first day of that cruise was the first day of her cycle.
Oh.
And even though it was a 9-day cruise, I thought she's not going to see most of it,
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, and we didn't schedule the trip. It was a gift to us from them. So she gets thirsty. Hey, can I have some of that water? Sure. I drink the water. I didn't sprout wings and fly. Nothing happened. We give her the water, and she's like, can I have more? Can I have more? And she kept asking for more. And I'm like, babe, that's a lot of water. She's like, I don't know. My body is craving this water. And she puts her fists together and she's like, I can't stop drinking it. Like, my body's craving this. I'm like, okay, I'll drink the toilet water. You drink the whatever. So she starts drinking the water within a day and a half on this cruise. She's up and around and participating. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I asked my friends, what's going on? And they're like, well, we thought it would help her. That's why we brought it.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? And they're like, that's what saved the business. That's how we were able to pay you back is we're selling like 200 gallons a day of this water in our little store. That's what saved us.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, what? Like, what the heck? What is it? And they're like, we don't know, actually. We just know we get it out of this machine and we give it to people and it helps them. And I'm like, okay,
oh, interesting.
Now you're scaring me a little because if you don't know what's it doing. And they're like, yeah, we really don't know. And so here's me. I'm happy that my wife's feeling better. I don't think anything about it. I'm a guy. Let's be honest. It fixed her on the cruise. We're going back to life. Yay for us. 6 months later, we're doing our family council. And I'm like, okay, when's your cycle going to be so I can plan my trips this month? And she goes, I'm on it. And I'm like, what? You left the house. Like, I don't understand.
Interesting.
And she's like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. I left the house. This is, okay, weird, right? And I said, what happened? And she goes, I'm drinking that water still. And I'm like, what? You're now one of the people going to buy the water by the gallon? She goes, absolutely. You didn't notice the gallon container in the pantry? I'm like, of course I didn't notice the gallon. So, long story short, this was a life-changing thing for us. My friends still did not know what any mechanism would be. They kept saying it was the pH. Well, we know that's nonsense. The pH of water doesn't get through stomach acid anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I later figured out there was no hydrogen in that water. I don't want everyone to think that's how we discovered hydrogen, but there was no hydrogen in water. But what there was a negative ORP. So when you test water, you have a positive or a negative ORP, what stands for oxidation reduction potential of water. Typical tap water will have a positive 600 millivolts of electrical potential in the water. When you run water through electrolysis, because hydrogen was present, we'll end up with a negative electrical potential. Well, that's really good for the gut bacteria. And so what I know happened with her is that water immediately restored and began a process of helping her gut to restore. And that was enough for her body to get a little bit of an edge. And so she was able to participate on the cruise. Then after the cruise, she kept drinking it. And so her gut was improving. So when I started doing research after seeing her after 6 months, I was like, okay, I got to figure out what this is, because these people are nuts, right? Like, they're saying it's going to cure all these things. And of course, that scares me when people talk like that. And if they don't know, and especially if they don't know why, and they can't even attempt to tell me why, I'm like, okay, bye. Like, I am not interested in talking to you. So I had to go figure out, why would the ORP be in the water? Why would this happen? And so it's really simple. Electrolysis, which is what the machine they were buying, which the machine they were buying isn't even available anymore, but the machine was traditional electrolysis, which means you were separating water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen gas. And that's why we have what's called alkaline water and acid water. But the alkaline part of it doesn't do a thing for the body, the pH part. That negative ORP that happens because hydrogen was present, that stays in the water, and that can help people's guts. Now, hydrogen goes out too, typically with these machines that are electrolysis based, like what they call alkaline machines. The hydrogen gas will go out of the water because it's not nano or tiny bubbles. They're larger bubbles because calcium builds up on the electrodes of those machines. And so the hydrogen coalesces and gets too large of bubbles, and it just goes out to atmosphere. So you don't have those benefits either. So here I understood, after my wife was helped greatly and ended up being healed after 6 months of a lot of her issues, not everything, but a lot of the issues. I figured out, okay, hydrogen can do a lot of things in the body, because I started researching, why would ORP? Well, ORP would be there because of hydrogen. Well, there's no hydrogen in this water, so it's just ORP. So that gave her this tremendous benefit. But what if we can keep the hydrogen in the water? And that was then my mission. I felt very strongly inside that I needed to create water, not only with the negative ORP, but to keep the hydrogen gas in the water. And that was really where it all began for me.
Okay, so
A lot to unpack.
that is a lot. That's an amazing story.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that it helped her. And we're going to talk about how it can help people in a minute. But let's just go back to hydrogen water, because a lot of times when people hear that, and I'm one of them, before I talked to you, and even when you came and talked to me in my office, I was like, I don't believe in a lot of hydrogen water. I think they're a gimmick, and especially the ones on the store shelves.
And you're correct to feel that way.
So, okay, let's talk about what hydrogen water is in a simplified form, or let's talk about your Echo water, and then why it is and isn't a gimmick.
So hydrogen water, when people hear that word, usually a good percentage of people say, well, isn't hydrogen already in water? That's their first response.
Right, because of H2O.
Yeah. And so that's a great question. You know, it's a great thought process. I'm not faulting anyone for that. But the reality is, what creates water is two gases, hydrogen gas, H2, and O, oxygen. But when they combine, they form a liquid. They're no longer gas. We're not breathing in water. We're not fish, right? So a liquid is formed by those two gases combining. So we do not have hydrogen gas in water.
Okay.
We now have a new substance called water that is H2O of its constituent elements, but they're now formed and bonded into a liquid.
Okay, makes sense.
So hydrogen water means, and it's probably a poor name, and so we need to make Echo water like the Coke, or, you know, where people don't say soda, they say Coke or whatever. But what hydrogen water really means is that you have dissolved H2 gas into H2O liquid.
Okay.
And they don't bond together, you know, just like a carbonated water. The carbon dioxide is not bonding to the water molecule. It's riding along like a person in a vehicle, right?
Okay.
So hydrogen gas in the same way is just riding along. So the water becomes a vehicle to get that hydrogen gas into the body. That's what we need.
Okay, so is your Echo, let's look at your Echo bottle.
Yep.
Okay, those that are just listening, he has an Echo bottle that has water in it. Does that put hydrogen then into the water?
That's all it does. So unlike the scam products on the market that put chlorine and who knows what else because they are traditional electrolysis, we know they're putting chlorine. You can put chlorine reagent in them and test them. So most people that are buying hydrogen bottles are getting scammed.
Okay.
This bottle, like if I turn it on here, you've got a touch screen that you control it with. I don't know if you can see that, but there are tons of bubbles going in. Only in our product, in Echo branded products, only H2 gas.
Okay.
Out the bottom right here, you see the blue light?
Yep.
That's where oxygen, chlorine, and ozone can come out if they're formed.
Okay.
So out the bottom is a filter, because we don't use traditional electrolysis. We use a proton exchange membrane.
Okay.
And that, proton exchange, right? You're exchanging protons, and out the bottom comes oxygen and chlorine, O2, O3, and Cl2.
Okay.
To be exact. Just H2 gas is going into the water. And that's what we want, is just the hydrogen. We have currently 2,000 studies showing effects with 200 disease models with H2 gas.
Interesting. Okay, so before I talk about some of those studies, on the store shelves, it's not just hydrogen put into the water, or it is?
No, with you're talking about with the products on
that you can buy at the grocery store even. You'll see ones that say like H2O, hydrogen water.
Yeah, I would tell you that hydrogen is number one on the periodic table. It is tiny. It goes through plastic, glass, metal. There's only one aluminum membrane that has been formed so far that will hold it in. And so anytime you're buying a pre-made hydrogen water, if you notice, they will never state the concentration of hydrogen on the container because they know it's not going to be there. Yeah. If you think about a gallon of water sitting there and you had, hydrogen water in there, you're going to lose 0.1 parts per million per 24-hour period through the container.
Interesting.
Even if there's no airspace, if there's airspace inside, it's all going to that.
Okay.
Because hydrogen's always going to take the path of least resistance. But let's say we put water all the way to the very tippy top and there's no airspace, nowhere for hydrogen to go. It's going to go out the bottle eventually.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's why it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
We have to buy something that actually works and is scientifically proven.
Yep.
Okay, but now I was blown away when you were telling me all the health benefits of hydrogen water.
Yep.
And so let's start with like your wife, because it was helping her gut, like you said. Yep. Which then we know the gut is connected to the brain and mood and our hormones, and then the hormones obviously with our cycles every month and things like that. So why, though, is hydrogen helping the gut?
That's an excellent question. And it is the $1 million question because, in my opinion, as an ND, the gut is everything. That's where the bacteria is in the body, majority of the bacteria in the body. That's where our immune function, 70% of our immune function is based on the gut health. That's where our food cravings come from. That's where our energy production is related to when we talk about mitochondrial function. There's so much that is dependent upon the gut functioning properly. People don't understand how important their gut is and how important the terrain of the gut is. So let's talk about that for a second. Largely in the gut, you have two types of bacteria, and I'm going to oversimplify this.
We want to oversimplify.
Yes, I love you guys.
I know you can do the science part of it. Yeah.
I love you, and I just want you to understand this so you can unpack it and tell your friends, right? So we have two main types of bacteria, anaerobic and aerobic.
That's even more complex than I thought you were going to go. I thought you were going to say good and bad.
No, well,
okay.
Both are good, but
Okay, we'll go that route.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Anaerobic are the beneficial bacteria.
Okay.
And you want 96 to 99% of the bacteria in the gut need to be anaerobic.
Okay.
We only want 1 to 4% of the total bacteria in the intestinal tract to be aerobic.
Okay.
So without going into all the different types of aerobic and anaerobic, we won't go there, but just think of it in two main types of bacteria.
Okay.
One of those bacteria likes a positive electrical potential. The other one that we want the majority of wants a negative electrical potential. This is where the ORP comes in. When we drink water that has a negative ORP, like the Echo water does, you're now going to create the terrain and the biome for the anaerobic microflora.
Okay.
And that's critical because pesticides, overuse of antibiotics, and I'm not downing antibiotics, they're life-saving for bacterial infections. But for a virus, they don't do a thing but destroy your gut. So the reason they were designed is for life-threatening bacterial infections. And they're amazing for that.
It's just when we use them too much.
That's correct. So the reality is we can wipe out the terrain or the biome, if we'll call it. So the water that has the negative electrical potential, when it goes down into the colon, it is creating the biome that those bacteria need to live in.
Interesting.
So within 2 weeks, people with gluten and dairy intolerance, people with other food allergies, I'm not guaranteeing 100% of anything, but the majority will be normalized in a 2-week period.
That's a huge statement.
Yes.
Because I have gluten issues.
Do you?
I do. I cannot eat gluten. If I eat it, I look pregnant, like 9 months pregnant within 5 minutes. And so I'm actually really curious to give this a try.
Please do.
Okay, so how long do I have to...
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, I should be able to eat gluten again.
The process will begin in an hour. In 1 hour after drinking, you'll begin the process. Within 2 or 3 days, you'll start to notice, I can tolerate things a little bit different. My digestion's a little more efficient. Within 2 weeks, you're like, don't do this, but I'm eating red vines, right? Or the worst gluten you could put in your body. But the point is, you could be taking in gluten and dairy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So can we say that this hydrogen water is feeding the anaerobic bacteria or no? It's just
You're creating the environment they like.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So it's the terrain and the biome which they like to live in and have to. If we talk about strict anaerobes, they have to have a negative 300 to a negative 400 millivolts of electrical potential, or they can't live in that environment. So people are taking probiotics all the time, and it's just a Band-Aid at best, because until you're properly hydrated and until the terrain is back, those bacteria are never going to flourish. So it's just a temporary measure to take probiotics. Probiotics are not good. Prebiotics, for example, you can seed the gut, but you still have to have proper hydration and the right electrical potential. Otherwise, they can't create communities and live.
Interesting. Okay, so prebiotics, we know, we simplify it as they're the food for the probiotics.
Yeah,
or the
fiber
bacteria.
typically.
They feed them.
Yep.
And so I always talk about eating fruits and veggies because they're full of fiber, and we need the fiber to feed the good bacteria in the gut.
As long as the bacteria can be there.
Okay, so then you're taking it one step further of, the fiber
we got to
feeds
have the
it,
home for them.
But we need a home. And the water creates the correct type of home for them.
The electrical potential in the water, yes.
Okay, because not all water. It needs
correct.
to be the hydrogen water that has the correct electrical.
Well, and it needs to be true hydrogen water even.
True hydrogen water with the correct electrical
potential. Yes.
Okay.
And hydrogen gas. So what's really interesting, and I'll get a little techie here for a second, in your gut, within the anaerobic family, you have these beautiful little bacteria called hydrogen trophs. And they actually take in hydrogen as energy source. And so there's these bacteria in the gut that when we create hydrogen in our gut, which we're supposed to, that's where we would get hydrogen naturally. So understand that Dr. Paul would never have needed to create Echo water if we didn't have 90% of the population with gut dysfunction. I wouldn't have ever needed to, because
that's true.
200 years ago, we were making bacteria in our gut properly, and we were creating hydrogen gas and farting perfectly fine all by ourselves. And I say that because that's what flatulence is hydrogen and methane.
Okay, well, let's...
So now we know that's the source of hydrogen our body would normally get hydrogen from.
Okay, let's talk about this, though, because I have teenage boys.
Oh, they're going to love this.
They fart all the time. Let's just be real. Let's
be real, yeah. And
boys,
they laugh,
come on.
right?
And then they laugh and think it's funny. So that's a good thing, then, that they're doing that.
Well, good or bad, that gas is created because of the fermentation process happening in the colon.
Okay.
So whenever you ferment something, you're going to, like you make kombucha, you're going to make gas. You're going to make bubbles. So in our intestinal tract, when we ferment foods, that's really how we digest in the first place. We're fermenting foods. There's going to be gas produced, depending on what we're making and what bacteria we have. Just like you can mess up kombucha by having the wrong bacteria and it can become poison.
Okay, so it's not necessarily always hydrogen that's being released. That's why maybe they're stinky.
It's sulfur that usually smells it up. But yeah, flatulence shouldn't always be smelly.
Okay, so you're saying hundreds of years ago when we ate just regular food and the soil was nutrient rich and dense, we created our own hydrogen in our guts.
That's what the Creator designed us to do, because our entire body is carbon-hydrogen chains. When we look at the makeup of our body, what is stomach acid?
Hydrogen. It has HCl.
HCl, right? So you got to have H.
Yeah.
So you can't even make, which is why there's so many digestive issues. If you're not making hydrogen and you don't have a source of it in the body, you got to take tablets that are giving you that HCl. So if you don't have hydrogen gas that's free and available, not bonded to carbohydrates, proteins, all the other stuff, then we need to get that in our system. So most people don't have hydrogen, so they have stomach issues or they have digestion issues. The only ones that don't are the ones that are drinking a true hydrogen water, or those that never had a gut issue in the first place, which is extremely rare.
Yeah, it is, because a lot of people, like you said, 90% of people have gut issues. So are these gut issues purely from poor diet and the pesticides and antibiotics and stress and all the things of our modern life?
I would cut out poor diet, because that has nothing to do with gut issues.
Okay.
We should be able to eat anything we want to eat and process it. Our idea here in the U.S. of what proper food is completely wrong anyways. I mean, we go to Italy, they're eating pasta and cheese, and they're fine.
But let's go back to diet.
Yeah.
Someone eating Oreos and Frosted Flakes and ice cream all day long.
That's not food.
Oh, okay. Well, we call it food.
I know we do.
That's disrupting their gut.
100%. But that's not really whole foods.
That's what I mean for a poor diet.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. Processed foods in general are not going to give nutritional benefits like a whole food or something that we're eating that is in a whole food form, or something that we can at least know at one point was something that grew.
Okay, so the lack of whole food diet is causing gut issues. Well, contributing to gut issues.
It's the chemicals. It's always the man-made stuff that creates the problems. Yes, stress can do as much damage as a poor diet or more.
Yeah.
Stress is far more toxic than people understand. But it's really the pesticides that are destroying the terrain. But that's what they're designed to do.
Because they're meant to destroy the terrain of the plants. And
the bugs that are eating the plants. So what pesticides are typically there to do is to stop bugs from the nutrition transfer into the bug. So they are getting in the gut and they're disrupting the ability for that bug to take in nutrition properly, so they die. That's how pesticides work. But they told everyone, but that's never going to happen for humans. That's not the way, what's in our gut? Bugs.
Yeah.
So that's doing the same thing to us. And of course, now there's lawsuits and all kinds of stuff, so we know it's true. But years ago, they tried to say, no, it's not true. The reality is...
Some people believe it's not true still.
I know, unfortunately. Poor souls. But the reality is they're doing exactly what they were designed to do. They're just doing it to the bugs in our gut. And so that creates the inability to take in nutrition properly.
Okay.
And that's what we're suffering from.
Yep.
We have nutritional issues. And so people are eating because they're not getting nutrition. They're only getting a part of what it is. And then when you've destroyed the terrain and the biome and you've flipped the polarity of the electrical potential in the gut, now you have encouraged what? And this is going to be a big aha moment for people.
Okay.
When we flip the electrical potential to a positive electrical potential, we are giving a home for what? Aerobic bacteria, which we should only have 1 to 4%. Well, now if we get more of it, what's going to happen naturally? By virtue of having aerobic bacteria, we're going to have anxiety and depression, and we're going to have carb and sugar cravings.
Interesting.
That's it. That's what happens. It is very, very simple math. Those bacteria eat carbs and sugar. So they're going to tell us, get me carbs and sugar.
Interesting.
So our food cravings are based on the bacteria in the gut. If we have anaerobic, then we want fat and fiber.
Interesting.
If we have aerobic, then we want carbs and sugar. Now, if we do the math, if 96 to 99% of the gut bacteria should be anaerobic, then we should be eating 96 to 99% fiber and fats.
Yep.
And we should be eating 1 to 4% carbs and sugar.
Oh, interesting.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we eat
the opposite.
way more than I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the American Standard Diet.
Correct.
Okay, so is there any way for people to get their guts tested and know how much anaerobic they have versus aerobic or no?
Absolutely.
And how do you do that? I've never had that
You
done.
do a stool sample.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just do a stool sample and they would tell you, oh, this is what you got.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well,
But they already know if they have food allergies, if they can't eat gluten and dairy, if they have different foods that are causing them a lot of problems, they already have gut issues. You know that.
Okay.
And they're typically Band-Aiding. Some people Band-Aid really well and other people don't. And so some people have serious problems. Other people don't.
So they're Band-Aiding with the probiotics, digestive enzymes, things like that.
Or even cutting out gluten.
That's what I do.
And try to eat foods that are not going to stir up a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what my favorite thing in life is to have someone actually do a 2-week process and drink Echo water appropriately. And then 2 weeks later, let's go get some sushi or let's go get something gluten.
Well, I'm going to try it. I really am.
I love it.
I'm going to start today. So how much water of that do I need to drink every day?
If it's just this, it's 3 to 6 a day. I would do 6 just to get it all in your system. 6 a day. It's only 12 ounces, so it's only 70 ounces a day. That's way less water than someone should be drinking.
Okay.
But that's what I would say.
So 6 of those a day for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And does it matter when I drink them?
Spread it out.
Spread it out
every
through
couple
the day.
hours. Yeah.
And I can guzzle all 12 ounces at one time?
You can, yes.
So there's no real rules with this?
No.
Okay.
Just drink it.
I could do all 6 in an hour if I wanted to?
Well, I would spread it out.
Okay.
Through the day. Because
Okay.
you'll be in the bathroom. If you do 72 ounces
True.
at one time, you'll
True.
be in the bathroom. I would love to see it spread out more during the day so that you're getting that electrical potential down into the gut through an intermittent exposure. So get it down into the gut. Those bacteria are going to be in love. And they're like, yay for us. We're going to create communities. And all of a sudden, there's going to be there's going to be immune function issues. You're going to increase immune function rapidly. You're going to feel that, right? You will feel improved immune function. You will feel lack of food allergies when you're eating foods. It'll feel like things don't take as much energy to process.
Well, I'm excited to try this.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it. Yeah.
Okay, so I've heard you say, though, that this can help with those that have attention issues, ADHD, things like that. And I'm assuming because it's helping the gut? Or why is that?
Partially, but no.
Okay.
Funny enough, there's 2 master hormones in the body, leptin and ghrelin.
Yep.
So when you drink Echo water, because of the hydrogen gas in there, as soon as the hydrogen gas is in the stomach, it will signal ghrelin secretions to the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and the brainstem.
Interesting.
And it will change cognitive function. It will change clarity, focus.
Wow.
And we kind of get this when people do fasting. Mm-hmm. you're clear. And you're like, why am I clear when I'm fasting? Like, I should feel out of it, right? Like, I haven't had food. Ghrelin. So it's their hunger hormone. When you're hungry, ghrelin is signaled.
Right.
And so ghrelin's going up to the brain to clear you out, and you're focused, right?
Interesting.
So the same thing happens when you're drinking water. Now we have 22 studies on Parkinson's. We have studies on Alzheimer's. And when I say we, I say the industry of hydrogen water, because the studies are showing that hydrogen has disease-modifying effects with Parkinson's.
Interesting.
So understand that hydrogen is very neuroprotective.
Okay.
A lot of autism, if you look at autism, they're saying there's a lack of ghrelin secretions.
Interesting.
Well, what happens if we get ghrelin up there where it's supposed to be? Those behaviors are going to go away.
Interesting.
So we have studies on bipolar, schizophrenia. All these neurologic issues can be fixed. So if we really think about it, what was wrong? The gut.
Yep.
So if we fix the gut, we fix these other issues.
So are you claiming that 2 weeks of drinking Echo water will help someone with ADHD?
I wouldn't say it would take 2 weeks. I would say the mother will notice within an hour.
Really?
Yeah. If moms notice a lot of things, they're the heroes, right? So moms notice, I just gave my son, especially my son, this water, and he's very different.
Wow. Yeah. All right.
So I had, and I'll tell you one emotional story, which was one of my favorites. I've got a couple of stories in all these 20 years, 16 years of having Echo, but 20 years of from the beginning doing this. There's 2 stories that are so amazing. I almost get emotional talking about it, but one was a mom that called and said, I just want to personally thank you for making this water. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. That's sweet when you get those calls, right? And she's like, I am starting a business now. And I thought, okay, cool. She goes, let me tell you why that's so important. I had a business before. My son, it got so combative at 20 years old that he was punching me. He would be punching me. He would be hitting me. And I had to stop having a business out of home because he would just come in at any different time. And she said, I saw you on a podcast. I ordered your water system, put it in my home. My son hasn't hit me since.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought, oh my gosh, like I never thought of that.
Interesting.
Like what a reality is that?
Yeah.
And so she goes, I'm starting a business. And I'm like, now I know why that's so important.
Yeah,
exactly. That you're not getting hit. And she goes, and now my son is talking about he wants to start a business. He's in such a different mental place.
Interesting.
And I'm like, that's deep.
Yeah.
Very deep.
So it's helping with mood.
Yeah. Because the bacteria is what causes the mood in the first place.
So then, because I talk a lot about depression, just because that was the battle I went through. So you're saying that hydrogen water can help depression then?
Yeah, hydrogen gas in general, as it restores gut and we get the terrain back and we get the right bacteria in, can affect mood. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So I'm curious though, because I've also heard you say that this Echo water can help with sleep, and sleep is a huge issue for a lot of people. They can't sleep well.
Yeah.
So how is that?
Usually first night.
Really?
Yeah. So when we're at trade shows and people drink the water and they're at hotels, which is like
so hard to sleep in
with Wi-Fi, right? Blasted, and some people are sensitive to that. And they're drinking they're out later than normal. All their stuff's out the window, right?
Yep.
And they're like, I slept horribly. They'll come and say, oh, I haven't slept like that in 10 years.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think it's just obviously affecting brain function.
From restoring the gut.
Yes. So we have brain mapping, EEGs and other things that you can do. And typically doctors that use our water therapeutically in an office, they'll have someone come in, they'll connect the brain to do a brain map, and they will give them just 16 ounces of Echo water. That's all they'll do. No, nothing else. And then they'll watch their brain. And within a few minutes, 32% plasticity change.
Interesting.
58% normalization of alpha and beta waves. So the brain typically, what causes these issues we're talking about is it's overfiring in one area and underfiring in another. So that's how it balances itself, right?
Interesting.
But if you bring those more into balance, the brain is working less and you're calm and you're functioning. And so those are the effects that typically are had. And then when it comes to a lot of different things, we right now in the industry, we're talking a lot about nitric oxide, right? We're talking about all these kind of things, hydrogen. There's 3 types of nitric oxide, and one of them you can only get through getting hydrogen water. So of the 3 types of nitric oxide, there's one that you can only get with doing hydrogen. And so it's very interesting.
So then that means this is great for like a pre-workout for people before they, or during their workout to help with endurance.
So we have professional teams, the 49ers, the Raiders, the Dodgers, Lakers.
That are all drinking Echo water?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because 2 reasons. A, they can go longer, 5 times as long before they fatigue.
Okay.
And their recovery times are cut down 85, 90%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And because of the nitric oxide, is that why the recovery is?
No, it's just hydrogen reducing oxidative stress and inflammation. That's your primary thing that hydrogen does in the body. It manages oxidation and inflammation.
Okay.
So oxidation, as you know, is normal. Oxidative stress is not normal. So we should all have oxidation. It's when our antioxidant systems are not functioning because of our gut. When they're not functioning properly, we don't normalize the radicals. We don't balance or opposite effect. But effectively, if we're not managing the oxidants coming in, we'll end up with oxidative stress. So oxidation is normal. That's where it needs to be. But if it rises, it gets to be what's called oxidative stress. Then the body's going to deploy inflammation to fix all these things.
Okay.
And that's good as a temporary measure. But when it becomes chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, that's where all disease comes from.
Well, most of the health issues out there have a root cause of inflammation.
Correct.
So then you're saying now, well, the root cause of all of these, a lot of these health issues could be a lack of hydrogen in the colon.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is the cause. So the cause of disease is oxidative stress and inflammation. The reason oxidative stress and inflammation happen is because hydrogen wasn't there to manage all the pathways.
And the hydrogen wasn't there because of the pesticides and stress and...
It's almost like someone knew that and maybe created chemicals that would do this. And you create a lifetime of customers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Talking about inflammation then, so we know antioxidants are so important. I talk about antioxidants all the time, that we need to be eating our fruits and veggies to get those antioxidants to help with the oxidative stress. So are you claiming, or can I say that hydrogen water is an antioxidant?
It not only is an antioxidant, it is the only selective antioxidant that's known. The reason.
Tell me what that means.
So, okay, so let's go about some history, just for fun. What do you think is the earliest study I found on hydrogen gas being studied as medical gas?
Well, I'm going to go back far.
Okay.
The 50s.
1888.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
It's on our website, hydrogenstudies.com. If you go to hydrogenstudies.com, it's just a resource to go study. And we're going back to 1888 with the earliest studies we found. Did you know they were using hydrogen in World War II for gunshot wounds and things? People don't know this.
Interesting.
This is not a fad. Like, this is a core aspect of our body, and people are like looking at it as a supplement. And they need to understand the only reason you need it is because your body's in trouble. You got to get hydrogen in. It's mission critical. You cannot function as a human being without hydrogen. Your systems will fail.
Okay.
You cannot function. Now, in 2008 and 2009, Nature Medicine published a study with Dr. Shigeota out of Japan showing that hydrogen was a selective antioxidant. This is why the industry blew up. Interestingly, this is when I started lecturing on hydrogen, was 2009.
Okay.
I started talking about, everyone said, you're nuts. And then 2 years later, you're brilliant. It was great. It was a 2-year process. You went from an idiot to brilliant. I loved it. It was great. So what we're learning and what we understand is that hydrogen is like an intelligent antioxidant, unlike normal antioxidants that are a problem. So there have been many studies on people taking large amounts of antioxidants, and the result is, guess what? Cancer.
Right.
And the reason being is because an antioxidant, when it donates its electron, becomes a pro-oxidant. Now, it's a problem the body has to deal with. Yes, it completed that radical over there, but now it becomes a pro-oxidant itself, and now the body's got to deal with that.
Okay, but we need to tell our listeners, though, that antioxidants are good, though.
In small amounts, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is fine to get them, especially when they're naturally occurring. But we should not think we're going into an antioxidant regime and take a ton of antioxidants because it can harm us. We gotta be
Taking a
careful.
bunch of supplements full of antioxidants.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we need to understand is that hydrogen is considered a selective antioxidant, which means it only goes after the bad stuff, doesn't affect the good radicals. And what we need to understand, most people don't understand that there are free radicals that are harmful, but the majority of free radicals in the body are actually life-sustaining.
Okay.
So getting rid of them with a traditional antioxidant would be a problem because now we're harming ourselves. We just want to get rid of the cytotoxic oxygen radicals. Cytotoxic means cell damaging, which is superoxide, hydroxyl radicals, these kind of things that are in the mitochondrial respiratory chain. That's why we all feel low energy, is because you have hydroxyl radicals in there causing a lot of issues. So this study that was published by Nature Medicine in 2009 showed that hydrogen went and stopped hydroxyl radicals.
Interesting.
But would not affect any other radical that had a physiological role or was life-sustaining.
Interesting.
So it's a smart antioxidant, or it's an intelligent, which obviously it was inherent to our body. So it's supposed to be there. It's not like somebody figured this out. Oh my gosh. No, the creator knew we have to have that. That's what keeps everything what we call
in balance.
homeostasis.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to have oxidation, you have to have reduction. If you give too much reduction, we get sick. If we have too much oxidation, we get sick. You've got to have homeostasis. We can't just keep dumping stuff and telling people they're going to be better because they will get worse. We have to balance them out. Yeah.
So that's what hydrogen is doing as a selective antioxidant.
Correct. Naturally, hydrogen will balance all of these systems. Whether it's diabetes, glucose, lipid and glucose metabolism, we have 77 studies showing that it normalizes diabetes. Like, why aren't we talking about this on the news, right?
Yeah.
Like, why do we have 77 studies so far? And in these studies, 85% normalized in 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever the study is, normalized. These are people with diabetes.
Interesting.
Or impaired glucose tolerance, gone.
Well, if this is helping inflammation, which is, like you said, the root cause of so many health issues, diabetes, sleep issues, depression, mood issues, why aren't we talking about it more?
People think I'm crazy still, I guess. I don't know why, but, and all they've gone is to this gimmicky bottle stuff. We're not talking about the fact that, forget the frickin' bottle. Get it into your life.
Yeah.
Fix your gut. And so people are so dumb. This is what they'll say. Well, if you're saying this will help me in 2 weeks, just rent me a machine. I've literally had people say that. Will you rent me a machine for 2 weeks so I can fix my gut and then I can just send it back? And I'm like, for real? Like, you know you're going to eat pesticides. You know you're not going to eat 100% organic, non-GMO, and you're not going to grow your own food. You're not going to do this kind of thing. So in 2 weeks and 3 days after you've eaten pesticides again and other stuff that's destroying your gut, you're going to be like, oh, can I rent the machine again for 2 weeks? Just buy it. It's something you'll need the rest of your life. Unfortunately, until our food supply doesn't have harmful chemicals in it, this is something they have to drink if they expect to live a wonderful life. They have to get hydrogen back in their life. And so unfortunately, the millions of people that are drinking Echo water every day are helped, but we have billions of people on this earth that are suffering every day, which is why I did this. And I know that they're like, whatever, hydrogen water, that's a scam. And I'm going, you're probably the person that needs it.
So interesting. Well, it's just because they're not educated on
Correct.
it. I mean, I wasn't educated on it.
Right.
And I'm in the health world.
Right.
And I just have always heard what a gimmick it was. So when you taught the science behind it, then I was like, oh,
this is interesting.
Yeah, this makes sense. Come tell my listeners about it on the show.
Exactly. Well, if we really understand, it fixes things. It's not a Band-Aid. It actually, so when we talk about rheumatoid arthritis, there was no reoccurrence.
Really?
Yeah. So it fixed the joint issues because why is RA there in the first place? Chronic inflammation.
Interesting.
So as it manages the inflammation, there was no reoccurrence of rheumatoid arthritis. When we start looking at disease models, you have 200 so far that hydrogen fixes. So that should make sense why the creator would put a hydrogen generator in us, because it's mission critical. And so whether it's brain, whether it's eyes, we could sit and go through every single organ of the body, how it affects kidney, how it affects liver, how it affects heart, cholesterol, 15.5% reduction of cholesterol. And people are like, what? Why? Because you reduced inflammation. And so as you reduce systemic inflammation, you affect all organ systems.
Okay, so are you saying basically every organ of the body needs a hydrogen then?
Yes.
From your hair to your eyes to your skin to your heart to your liver to...
Yeah, hair color will change. You'll have gray go. I mean, because you understand all these systems, we can explain why hydrogen and what it should have been doing in the first place. You and I could unpack we could do a podcast on every organ. We could do a podcast on every system. We could do a podcast on every single aspect of why it helps the entire system. And that would be beautiful to do because, again, people treat it like a supplement, like, oh, I have arthritis, I need to do it. Well, wait. It's fixing everything, which is why it's so difficult for them to understand. Because they're used to thinking a drug for every condition or a supplement for every condition. That's where we are in allopathic medicine and natural medicine. Yep. It's always a drug or a supplement for every condition.
Yep.
I don't come from there. I come from let's fix the source problem. And have the body. And then after we're done fixing all the stuff, what's left? And let's affect that now. Now, where my personal opinion is on supplements, most people are lazy. Most people are not going to make a meal out of whole foods. So you need to supplement. But if someone's eating a whole food diet, that is your supplement.
Yep.
So I'm never going to talk negatively about supplements. Well, let me say this. Yours. Well, I will trash a lot of other companies because they're synthetic and they're nonsense. If you go in my kitchen, there's a lot of your products in my kitchen because of the amazing work you've done.
Well, thank you. So I appreciate that.
We use them every day. Every single day we use them and have used them. But most companies, I would say they're getting a 1% assimilation.
Yeah. We could go into that for sure.
Yeah.
But I do have a question for you since I sell supplements.
Yes.
I know I have to be so careful what I can claim that they do.
Because it's a supplement.
So I'm curious, though, because if I were to claim like, oh, this is going to heal your arthritis and your depression and diabetes, I'd be sued left and right.
Right.
And so are you able to claim that without getting in trouble?
Yeah, it's a gas. It's a medical gas.
Okay.
FDA gave GRAS status 15 years ago.
But you can claim that it's going to...
Well, you can reference a study. I'll never say this water will do this. I will say hydrogen gas does this. And there is no way they can back out of that. There are too many countries involved, too many studies, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies. There are too many. Now you have the companies that are making chemotherapy drugs, combining it with hydrogen, and seeing 100% cancer cell death in the body.
Interesting.
I mean, we can go anywhere you want to go. I can go, right? I can go anywhere you want to go. We've got thousands of studies.
So we could go cancer, like you just said, any type of cancer.
We have currently 125 studies on different types of cancer. I would say, let's talk about which type of cancer. Here's a study that talks about that. If I don't have a study specific to that type of cancer, then I will say, what causes cancer? Oxidative stress and inflammation.
Yep.
So hydrogen may help.
Okay.
But until I've got a study I can reference, I'm not going to say yes.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one for you because I have a lot of moms listening.
Yeah.
And those that want to be a mom. So how about infertility?
Yes. There are studies on sperm motility. There are studies on infertility in general. Absolutely.
So really, any health condition, you're going to find me a study for.
Pretty close. Not every single one. There are some that are like way esoteric and out there, and like 1% of the population have that thing. There may not be a study, but I'm surprised all the time. And other people are surprised, like, what? That's in there? They've studied that? It all depends on which hospital system and what country. Some researcher saw the need because maybe they had a family member or someone who had this thing and they want to study it. So none of these studies, I would say probably 95% are not paid for by anyone. They're just pure science. And that's the best thing, in my opinion, when there's not a company like mine paying for studies. Sometimes there are companies saying, I paid for it, I want a certain outcome, and that's how medicine is kind of manipulated.
Yep.
It's better that these are hospital systems, these are medical systems that are doing the studies for the pure interest of health. And then we can show the studies and go, they're talking about hydrogen. We make a product that has a demonstrated volume of hydrogen gas in it. It is going to deliver that to the body. We have water, inhalation, bath units, every possible way to get hydrogen into the body. Because interestingly, taking a bath is excellent for skin issues, collagen, any issues with acne, psoriasis, eczema, cystic acne, all these kind of things, weight loss, right? Brown fat activation, all these kind of things where you take a bath every day in hydrogen water for 30 days, you're going to have a lot of benefits.
Oh boy, I didn't even think about a bath. Okay.
Correct. So we have every way for you to get it, and we have the studies to back up that mechanism of delivery.
Okay, tell me how I'm going to have a hydrogen bath. What am I buying from you?
It's a unit that sits next to your tub, and there's 2 tubes that go in. One's pulling water and then pushing it back.
Okay.
And when it comes back, it's got 2 parts per million of hydrogen gas in that water. And you're going to have your skin get thicker. You're going to have collagen signaled in the skin. People that have eczema, psoriasis, acne, serious acne, within 1 bath, they're going to see a noticeable, even the tone of the skin, you'll see a difference in 1 bath.
Okay, I want one of these.
I know.
I love taking a bath every night. That's my way to relax and unwind for the day. So I need to be sitting in hydrogen.
Yep.
But this almost sounds too good to be true.
Well, again, that, of course, is where the human mind goes to. Because we're used to being told things work and then they don't. And we spend a ton of money on stuff that doesn't work. Again, I'm going to go back to the fact that your body and my body are designed to make hydrogen. If the creator put a hydrogen generator in you and me, it's pretty important.
It's just our day and age has messed up the hydrogen generator with all the pesticides, junk, stress.
Yeah, it's more the pesticides and overuse of antibiotics. That's really your 2 main issues, quite honestly, that's what kills the bacteria in the gut. Stress destroys you and disturbs your microbiome, of course. But what kills the bacteria right away is your pesticides and basically man-made chemicals that are going in. And that's their job, and they're doing their job well.
And we don't realize that. Most people don't realize they're eating multiple pesticides multiple times throughout the day.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Oz, way back, remember Dr. Oz was on the show?
Yep.
He took, I think it was middle school children, and tested their urine. They had 27
different pesticides in there.
And then he put them on an organic diet for 3 days, tested their urine after 3 days, 0.
Oh, interesting.
So it's interesting when you think about it, because obviously their kidneys and their pancreatic system is working and got the pesticides out. But wow, if you didn't put them in the first place, that sure saves a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You know?
So interesting. Okay. So we've talked about how this hydrogen has helped so many different issues and inflammation, things like that. But I want to ask you one more.
Yeah.
Because probably the main problem I have that I hear about every single day from DMs are women dealing with energy problems. And I get it. We're busy with toddlers and newborns and babies, or now I've got the teenagers that also make you tired. And we're working and, you know, it's just busy.
Yeah.
So tell me how this helps with energy.
So, great question, and I agree. I think we both live in Utah. We know the soda deal where people are basically getting energy through caffeine or whatever. But I think it's a real problem. I think it really is. So there was a study done, coffee versus hydrogen water.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
For sleep-deprived individuals.
Okay.
Hydrogen water won by 10%. So it increased energy more than coffee.
Okay.
And there was no dip after 21 minutes, which is typically when coffee begins to drop.
Okay.
You have an increase, and then you have a sharp decline.
Crash.
There was none of that with the hydrogen water they were drinking. So they got hydrogen water versus coffee, and it increased their energy 10% more than coffee, but they had no dip in 21 minutes. So, yes, hydrogen can increase energy. As long as we're getting over 1 part per million of hydrogen gas, then it increases energy. That's the concentration level. Now, this one is over 6 parts per million.
Okay,
so
I was just going to ask
plenty.
you.
Yeah, clearly you have plenty of gas in here, but that's where people are going to feel boost of energy, feel increased energy. People talk about it all the time. The things they talk about first are sleep, energy, right? Clarity. Those are the things.
But what's it actually doing to the body to help with energy?
Great question. So remember we talked about mitochondrial function before. The mitochondria in our cells are all producing energy, ATP as we call it. What stops that process are radicals. Hydroxyl radical is the most cell damaging radical in the human body. Now, just for giggles, do you know what a hydroxyl radical is made up of?
I don't.
HO. It's a hydrogen.
That makes sense.
It's a hydrogen and an oxygen.
Okay.
What happens if we add another hydrogen to it?
Oh, then it's water.
There you go.
Interesting.
So the whole study that was in 2009 that talked about hydrogen being a selective antioxidant, they took hydroxyl radicals in a petri dish, added hydrogen gas, and it created water.
Interesting.
Now, as fun as that is to talk about, that's not what's happening in the human body.
Okay.
It's fun to talk about. What's happening in the human body is there are enzyme reactions that hydrogen creates or stimulates, and then your hydroxyl radicals are not forming because you're creating energy without needing oxygen radicals being consumed. So what really happens is a lot of people that are sugar and carb loading, you're creating oxygen radicals. So yes, you get an immediate energy boost, but then you create oxygen radicals that are disrupting the mitochondrial function. So you've got to keep doing it because you're creating a cycle. Hydrogen will come in and get rid of the hydroxyl radicals. It will complete them and get rid of them. And then you're producing ATP the way you're supposed to. So hydrogen is not a stimulant. Hydrogen is getting rid of the cog in the wheel or the problem why you weren't able to create energy on your own. So now your body is free to create energy on its own, the way it's designed.
Wow. It's incredible. The body really is a miracle, how everything works. And we just don't know how to work with it correctly. Okay, so I'm curious though, is there any test against hydrogen water and those energy drinks out there?
I don't think it's been done.
But it'd be similar probably to the coffee one. Yeah.
Yeah, because mostly it's caffeine that they're doing anyways. And some people are like, it's green from green tea or it's this or it's natural or whatever. But it is a stimulant.
Yeah.
And hydrogen will increase energy. Like it's something that's palpable. Like you'll feel it. If people are low, I don't feel it because I have plenty of energy. But people that are low energy, they will feel a boost.
Okay, so let's say someone starts drinking this. I'm going to go drink it today.
Yep.
So I start drinking it today. Am I going to feel different an hour later or not necessarily?
Oh, you should. Yeah.
Just
not everybody will. So keep in mind, it's like taking vitamin C when you're not sick. You going to feel anything? No. If you're sick and you take vitamin C, you could feel a bolstering of your system, right? But if you're fully healthy and you have no issues, you're not going to feel anything when you drink hydrogen water because there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to modulate. There's no pathways to modulate and increase or decrease. The beautiful thing about hydrogen and why hydrogen is considered completely safe is it will increase or decrease pathways depending on what's needed, or it will do nothing. It's whatever the body actually needs. That's what signal modulation is all about. And that's what hydrogen is. Hydrogen is a signal modulator. It's not doing any heavy lifting. You won't, like when we talk about neurologic disorder, there's no striatal hydrogen in the brain. And what that just means, there's no hydrogen in the brain. There's ghrelin secretions in the brain, but hydrogen stimulated that. So hydrogen is like a manager or coordinator. It's going to get things to work properly, which is why we need it in the body. It's not a quantity thing. It's having hydrogen in the body causes all of the systems to work because that's the coordinator, that's the manager.
Okay, I know we're almost up on time, but I have two more questions that I want to ask you before we wrap up. Because I know my listeners will say, why didn't you ask these two?
Dang it.
Okay, does it help with fat loss?
Yes. And we have many studies from Obesity Magazine, from multiple talking about hip to waist ratios. And at the end of the day, with a 24-week test that was done on drinking hydrogen water, it had the same effect as a calorie restriction diet.
Wow. So I'm going to drink this for 2 weeks to get rid of my gluten issues, and I'm going to lose some fat, maybe?
I don't know if you are. I don't know if you have a lot to lose, but yeah, you could.
Okay. Second question, because I know they'll want to know.
Yep.
Does this affect hormones, meaning helping to balance hormones? Because I've got so many listeners that are dealing with hormonal issues in perimenopause or menopause, things like that.
There are a bunch of studies on menopause. There are a bunch of studies on female hormones. 100% it balances hormones. And we can do, I just did a whole webinar on that about 2 months ago. It was a 6-part series on sports, hormones, all different topics. We should do another podcast just on hormones.
Just on hormones. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because now that I'm talking to you about this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have guys that are always low in testosterone.
Yep.
So you're saying it could probably help that. And then, all right, we have to do part 2.
Well, because testosterone reduces because of oxidative stress and inflammation. So when you offload that, it's amazing. I just had a gentleman just the other day who called me and said, I went to the doctor. My testosterone was around 600, and he goes, oh, we should get you to 800. Let me give you some shots. And he goes, I didn't tell him I was on hydrogen water. I didn't tell him I drink hydrogen water every day. And I didn't tell him I go in a red light bed every day. And he goes, I went to 1,500.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, now my libido is down, and my blood is so thick, it's a problem. Now they're trying to get me back down, and I'm drinking tons of water and do whatever. And so you have to understand that hydrogen modulates all of these things. And so testosterone levels, all these things, killer cells, like your T cells, your killer T cells, all managed by hydrogen. Again, we can talk about anything you want to go. We can talk about telomeres.
Oh, goodness.
So telomere length is lengthened when you're drinking. Hydrogen will lengthen a telomere in a healthy cell, but it shortens telomeres in a cancer cell.
Interesting.
So, and that's because you don't want the duplication, right, of cells. So again, what I want people to understand is it's in your body for a reason.
Yep.
It's there for a purpose. And I don't want to say hydrogen's intelligent, but in some cases, it increases like a telomere. In other cases, it decreases a telomere. It's exactly what you would want. It's perfection.
Wow.
You don't want to, so a haystack in medicine is 13 times a cell would reproduce before it goes away, right? It's called a haystack. So hydrogen shortens the telomere, so you don't have those cells duplicating that are improperly duplicating. But in a healthy cell, it lengthens telomeres, so they're duplicating beautifully. I mean, again, we can go anywhere you want to go.
Well, so all these biohackers trying to, do all these longevity things, they just should be drinking hydrogen water.
Ben Greenfield, Dave Asbury, they all drink my water.
They're all drinking it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Gary Brecka was promoting, like all these biohackers, whoever you consider the person you're following. Joe Rogan talked about our water 3 years ago. That's where all the scam bottles came from, is because he talked about our water, how it helped him and Dana White. And next thing you know, there's all these companies from China dumping cheap bottles on Alibaba and Temu and
all those places.
Yeah, everywhere.
So we need a good bottle that we truly know has been scientifically tested to put enough hydrogen gas in the water.
Yeah, and this has been tested for 3 things. A, does it introduce anything into the water other than hydrogen? It does not. No kind of metals, no kind of issues. Does it produce what parts per million, or what concentration does it produce? And it's over 6 parts per million in this bottle on a 10-minute cycle. If you do a 20-minute cycle, it's over 8 parts per million. And then they tested longevity. And so you could use this 3 times a day or 6 times a day for 5.5 years and have no reduction in hydrogen production.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, really quick before you tell people where they can get those. Back to the hormones, though. You say it helps with the hormones, with the testosterone, perimenopause, things like that. Are people getting off of HRT, hormone replacement therapy, because of hydrogen water?
I don't know. I can't answer that question because I don't have any references to say people are getting off. I can tell you there are people with neurologic issues that are going off medication. There are people with sleep medications that are going off. And there are people with heavy meds from psychotic drugs and things like that have gone off. And that was doctor assisted. That wasn't like they were just going off the reservation.
Right.
Their doctor was saying, this is appropriate. You can get off. Keep drinking that water.
Okay.
And so I would say with hormones, you'll affect hormones rapidly. I don't have the knowledge or the examples to say yes. There's 10 people that I've talked to in the last month that have all gone off. I just don't have that data.
Okay, so they can work with their doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell everybody where we can get the Echo water.
Sure.
And maybe, because I didn't realize at first that you had more than just the water bottle.
Oh,
but
gosh.
you have actual systems for the house and things like that.
Yep.
So tell them what you have and where they can find it.
So we have whole house filtration. We have under sink reverse osmosis and hydrogen unit called the Echo 1. And it makes 3/4 of a gallon a minute on demand.
Okay.
Reverse osmosis and then hydrogen. We have this. We also have a new product coming out in the spring called the Echo 40, which is like one of those big, I don't know, Stanley cup.
Stanleys.
Stanley's a
Yep.
brand. Stanley owns Stanley.
One of those
brand.
stainless steel
Yeah,
cups.
I don't own Stanley. But we have one similar that has the same touch screen on the handle.
Okay.
And it will create 40 ounces of hydrogen Echo water in that. And we have black and off-white. We also have bath units we talked about where you can take a bath every day and have a luxurious Echo bath. We also have inhalation where you can breathe in hydrogen for people that have long COVID.
Oh, interesting.
We have 11 studies on long COVID so far. And anyone that's having cytokine storms or inflammation, oxidative stress in the body, it'll help them.
Okay.
So they can breathe in hydrogen. We have all different machines. We have 2 different machines that will go on top of the counter or under sink that makes water and filters water. So if they are in an apartment, they can just get those and connect it to their faucet, their main faucet, and then they can take it when they go. So we have everything there is.
You do have a lot of things. All at Echo, what's the website?
EchoWater.com. And you have the most incredible protein drinks. I love them.
Well, thank you.
We do have a drink mix, as you know, that is just makes the hydrogen water. It is. Please don't buy it. Buy this because this is 15 cents a day.
Okay.
And you're not going to find any less expensive way to get hydrogen water into your life. But if for some reason people want an apple flavored drink mix that makes hydrogen, they can do that. But
interesting.
I really would prefer they do this, but.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I know I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
So I know the listeners have learned a lot.
Yep.
I always end my show by asking 5 quick questions.
Oh, good.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Number 1, what emerging health topic are you most excited about right now?
Red light.
Oh.
And infrared and vitamin D, like a UVB to create vitamin D.
Yep.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't know that they're not getting UV from the sun. And if they live north of the 37th parallel, which is San Francisco to Richmond, Virginia, everyone who lives north of that, they don't get UV this time of year until we get into spring. And so having a light that can create vitamin D in the body is better than getting it through other ways. But
interesting. We could have a whole show on that.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Second question. What's a piece of advice you would give your younger self?
A piece of advice I would give my younger self. Be better at seeing people that are coming to harm.
Oh.
Be better at seeing that versus getting sucked into their marketing.
Interesting. No one's ever given that advice. I love it though. Mm-hmm. Number 3, what's the one health practice you'll never compromise on no matter how busy life gets?
This might be strange to you, but forgiveness.
I love that.
I think that for becoming good at forgiveness helps you and frees, you don't hold claim on someone else. It lets them continue on their journey, but you yourself aren't holding claim, and it frees you.
Oh, I love that. No one said that one either. Okay, what's your favorite Just Ingredients product and why?
Okay, so I use your chocolate and mint chocolate protein drink, and every morning my sweetheart, love of my life, my queen, makes me a protein drink.
Oh, I love it.
And it's either a mint chocolate or it's the dark chocolate, the dark chocolate one that's amazing. And then she puts this other thing, and I don't know what it is. It's a small white bag about this size that's an additional chocolate.
Is it our product?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet she's putting maybe the hot chocolate in there.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, so that's what she does. And a little peanut butter and banana.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, so she makes up every morning for me. That I didn't have it today because I'm on the podcast, but usually every day she does that. But that's what she uses. But I mean, when I look in the cupboard, I see the berberine from you. I see all the stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Tell her thank you.
Oh, absolutely. She loves your products. Yeah.
Well, thank you. All right, very last one. What is the best ingredient you've found to life?
Love, but love void of judgment. That is what I feel the best ingredient. If we just love and lift others without taking the time to judge or figure out why or this or that, just love and lift people, it is such a different experience.
Could you imagine how amazing this world would be if we all could learn how to do that?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. And I'll go into that for a second because people go, I don't know, how you've been screwed over by people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I've had 14 companies, right? So clearly, and I say, there's 2 great commandments, to love and forgive. But we've never been commanded to trust.
Oh.
And so I love freely. I forgive freely, but I don't trust.
Oh, interesting.
Until it's earned. And so I'm going to love someone who has screwed me over, and I do. And my employees and friends see that.
Because you're good at forgiving.
Yeah, we don't get why you do that. And I explain to them, because we're commanded to love and we're commanded to forgive. I'm not going to trust that individual. They're not going to get close to do it again. They're not going to be in a position to harm me again. But I will love them and I will forgive them. And I believe that the master that I serve, believe that's what he does.
I love that. That is a great way to end this podcast. Thank you again for being here. Listeners, I hope you loved this show. I'm excited to see what's going to happen on this 2-week journey of drinking the water. So listeners, stay tuned and I'll let you know.